Another week, and here we go. We got Blue Hawks 13, otherwise known as Jon Shearer. Jake Malik, blame it on the rain himself.
Hey, watch yourself.
Millie Vanilli in the house. And, of course, me, JB Ellis here. We got another show going on. Let's start, Jake. Let's roll the video. Let's start right with that.
I got you. Give me 1 second. Let's go.
Lean on me.
When you're not strong, I'll be your friend. Yes, I will.
What are you guys here to do on AGT?
The first is we've spent a lot of our time preparing and prepping to play football at a really high level, but inside all of us, there's still this little kid that always had this dream to sing on a big stage.
Somebody to lean on.
So we had the honor of doing an interview last night with the NFL Players Choir, the Gospel Choir. They're on AGT tonight. So make sure you vote for them. We had 4 great guys. Jake and John, you want to tell us a little bit about who we had on last night?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll speak to the one person I was happiest to speak to. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Prince Amukamara, former Giant. It was kind of cool. A guy that won his Super Bowl with us in that 11-12 season, that second magical season. So it was pretty cool. The guys were, he was one of the guys. I'll let you guys explain about the rest of them. But for me, that was it was pretty cool. He was a really nice guy. All of them were. It was a pretty cool experience, I must say.
Yeah, we had Cameron Newton.
Yep, Tully Banta-Kane, Cameron Newton, defensive back, and Brian Scott.
It was a really fun interview. You can check it out on our YouTube. Definitely take some time and watch it. They're on AGT tonight, so make sure you watch AGT.
Watch it now.
On your NBC affiliate, and make sure you're voting for the NFL Choir. You know, I want to see them advance so we can have them on the show again. Maybe get some more guys in the choir.
Exactly.
And if you're an NFL player and you're watching this, join the choir. Come on, I want to hear you sing.
Or come talk to us about how you want to join the choir.
Yeah, do
and
both.
We'll get you in touch with those guys. We got you.
We got you guys. Let's go. Let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen. Absolutely.
All right. So without further ado, let's switch gears a little bit. So John, I know you did a whole special on What a Show about the MLB draft. And I'm sorry, am I keeping you awake tonight, John?
Yeah, a little bit.
Am I keeping you awake? I mean, I just
A little bit with that, whatever that awful jersey is.
Got the Raiders going on.
What's slander, man? Hold on, John. Why do you come out swinging for no reason? No discernible reason. JB has done nothing but just host at the moment, and you're coming out swinging, man. What's
it's the lack of coffee at 8:35 at night. I'm sorry, JB. It's not you. It's the coffee.
Listen, I got the JB Ellis Raiders jersey.
The old "it's not you, it's me" excuse. Come on, this is stupid.
Just wait till you see how this jersey gets finished up, because we're gonna get some sideline material on here. It's gonna look pretty cool.
All right, let's move it along. Come on.
But anyway, let's get to why we're all here. So, John, you did a special on the MLB draft on the What a Show.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, the O's missed out on somebody special. And we have a guest tonight. So, you want to tell us how you let the O's miss out on such a great young talent?
They passed up on Drew Jones for whatever reason, and I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not talking about that.
Wow, John, this is how you make our guests feel. Jeez.
Well,
John, he threw you a lob. All you had to do was take it and dunk, and somehow you managed to just miss.
Listen, you can't do a better job making the other people look good, and John has failed as usual.
Thank you. I tried.
But Jordan, thanks so much for giving us a few minutes tonight. We appreciate it. So you were drafted.
Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime. So you were drafted by the Phillies in the 12th round. You're a catcher. So some great things have happened since you got drafted. So tell us how this week's been for you. I don't want to, ruin the news. Tell us like some of the exciting stuff that's happened.
Between all the hard work and the long days, I finally got activated on the FCL Phillies roster. Got my first couple of starts, and Saturday I got my first professional hit.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely, especially playing for my hometown Phillies. It's kind of a dream come true.
Playing hometown, it's got to be pretty special, right? This is like what you dream of, literally playing at home, and you're like, oh, now it's really happening.
Yeah, you kidding me? I mean, I used to go watch, Chase Utley and Ryan Howard hit bombs and then go across the street and watch the Birds play. So I'm having one hell of a time down here.
Oh, I'm jealous.
So now, okay, the MLB draft is probably the biggest draft there is as far as rounds and everything. And you went in the 12th round. So what was going on in your mind as the draft was happening? Did you watch the early part of the draft that they put it on MLB now? Or did you just say, I don't want to deal with it and just do your own thing? Or how did that happen?
No, of course. I was watching the first day. I wasn't expected to go on the first day. I'm pretty good, but those guys are on a whole nother level, right? Those guys are getting paid millions upon millions of dollars to play baseball. But I watched the first day because, why not? I like to see all the guys that go. I want to see who the Phillies took in the first round, which I got the pleasure of meeting, obviously, down here in minicamp. Justin Crawford, one hell of a kid, even a better athlete. Dude's crazy. But the second day gets live streamed on MLB Network or the MLB.com. And I was watching that, and I was hoping to go on day 2. Obviously things didn't go the way I expected. And I mean, obviously it sucks, but I'm glad I'm here. It was more about the opportunity and not the money. I was playing baseball forever so long for free. And even now I'm getting paid fractions of what those guys made in the first 2 days, I'm just glad to be down here.
So question for you. If you could have gotten drafted, I don't know, say the 5th round, but by the Angels, as opposed to where you got drafted by your hometown team, which do you think which would you have preferred?
Man, that's a tough question. I mean, fifth round, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. I mean, given that answer, I would probably say the Angels, just probably because it's the first team that calls on that day. But if and buts were candy and nuts, every day be Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm where I am.
Hey, at least you're honest about it. You know what?
And I appreciate that because that was a tough question.
We were talking before the show, and you said, look, some things I got to give the politically correct answer, right? You got to careful what you say. I appreciated the honesty. Look, if someone wanted to pick me in the 5th round, who am I going to be to say, no, I'd rather wait for my hometown team to pick me. I appreciate the honesty because I feel like a lot of guys would be like, no, I just want to be where I was picked. I'm so happy with the team I'm with. And, they're trying to save face with their own team and they don't want to be honest about it. So I appreciate the honesty personally.
I don't think I'll get in too much trouble for that one.
No, of course not. But you know what? I feel like a lot of guys think, oh, man, I hope nobody hears me say that. No, just be honest about it. What are they going to say? I mean, the cards fell the way they fell. It happened. So it doesn't matter. So like I said, I appreciate the honesty on that because I got to tell you the truth. I probably would have done the same thing. Look, if I played baseball, if I could pick anywhere, I'd love to go to the Yankees. But at the same time, I think that's pretty hard to get to have that happen. It's one out of all. It's one team. You got small odds, so I get that, and I'm with you. I would do the same thing. So, like I said,
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, baseball's a business. So, I'm glad that things ended up the way they did.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, you just want to play baseball, right? I mean, you're just happy anywhere, probably. Truthfully,
you're right about that. Yes, sir.
So now you're a catcher. Who did you idolize growing up at the position?
I would say Joe Mauer. I mean, I see a lot of myself in him. He kind of has that old school, just the way he does things. He plays the game the right way, and I try to model myself after that.
He's a very underrated catcher as well. I mean, one of the best in the game for a long time, but because he played in Minnesota, he didn't get the credit he deserved, So that's a great answer. I like it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mauer.
So what are some things that you feel like you have to work on? And some things that are some strengths of yours that you currently have going into your career with the Phillies?
I mean, if you see any pictures or videos of me, you probably see the 6'3" lanky catcher. I definitely got to put on some size, got to hit the gym a little bit more, eat a couple protein shakes, So that's definitely the thing I got to work on the most. And, of course, it's kind of getting used to the life of a minor league baseball player. It's not going to be the easiest sometimes, but way better than sitting in my room doing homework. I'll say that.
Right, Jake?
Hey, watch yourself.
Hey, his homework
Yeah.
is doing well for us.
Exactly. So watch yourself.
So, I mean, one of the things that I loved, I mean, I saw your dad's post when you got drafted, you know, and I reached out to him. I'm friends with him on Facebook. Great guy, your dad. You know, and I said, would you mind if we had him on the show? I'd love to hear a story and, you know, have everyone get to know you a little bit. How excited was your dad during this whole process? And were you guys together when you got the call?
Yeah, we were sitting in my living room. We had my laptop kind of set up, watching the picks come in, and you know, it's like the top of the 12th round. The picks are coming down. The Phillies are like 5 picks away, and we're sweating like, oh, is this gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? And I get a text from my agent, and he said all the text said was, "Here we go." And so we just had to play that waiting game. The waiting game, like every minute or so, a pick would come down. And then we see my name pop up on the little draft tracker list, and that's history.
I like that.
Awesome.
Now, what was your reaction when it happened? Like, did you jump out of your seat and like go crazy? And like, what was your reaction?
I don't think I had a reaction. I don't think it like settled in right away. I don't think it's still settled in that I'm playing professional baseball right now. But I remember my dad hopped up. He started hugging me, you know, called my mom, called my grandparents, doing all that. And I was just sitting there kind of looking at the screen saying, all right, I did it. What next? That's what I was thinking. What's next?
I love that attitude. What's next? That's the way you got to do it. So, yeah, no, I love that. But I wanted to it's a little bit of a joke, but I'm also curious, you know, JT Realmuto, right? Are you going to reach out to him? Like, is there any way that you might say, hey, can I get some pointers? Because I know, yes, you're not on the official Phillies roster in terms of the major leagues, but he is on the team and he might have some pointers. Are you going to reach out to him?
I think I'd be a little starstruck in all honesty, but you know, we got a lot of good guys down here that have been helping me. Some like rehab guys from AA have been, you know, giving me tips, kind of showing me the ropes. And maybe I'll see him in spring training and see what happens. So
I can't imagine. That would probably be like, if I were you and I was in that situation, like, I got to get your number and I got to pick your brain constantly. Cause I mean, that's just, that would be like the coolest thing as a young man trying to like work my way up. It's like, all right, who's the best guy to ask? Oh, the guy that's job I'm trying to take right now.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what happens in the spring. See if I can, he can give me some pointers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So now you're in the Florida Coast League right now, right? So what's the projections after this season with this? How does that work for people that don't understand the minor leagues? Because they just changed them a couple of years back.
So the Florida Complex League is like rookie ball per se. And after rookie ball, there's low A, which is Clearwater Threshers, which is literally right across the street from the Florida Complex League where we work at every day. Then high A is Jersey Shore, double A is in Reading, triple A is Lehigh, and, you know, obviously the Phillies. Yeah, no, I just keep working hard. They tell me where to go when I show up. So I'm just kind of working hard every day, and they tell me where to go, and whatever happens, happens.
All right.
So yeah, Jake.
I was gonna say, right now, if you could get a hit off of one pitcher in the league right now, who would it be? If you were on the Phillies roster, you were playing, if you could hit one guy, no matter how difficult it might be, who would you want to get a hit off of, and why?
That's a good question. I've never thought about that. I mean, I think the obvious answer is like DeGrom, but yeah. I'm going to go with dark horse and probably say like Ohtani, just because he's one of the greatest athletes in baseball ever. And I think just to kind of have that, no one ever take a hit away from like if I got a hit off of Shohei Ohtani, no one can ever take that away from me.
You're absolutely right.
Great answer.
So it's a great answer. And John, you made a face like, oh, he's one of the great. He is. John.
Stop it.
John, name another player. Name another player that plays two ways like
Can we stop this? This guy's just started his career.
It was just a simple. I'm just muting him because I don't want to hear it. Because Jordan, I'm
Keep out
with
of
you
order.
because I don't think I could name another guy that can hit and pitch the way he does. There's very few players I could think of that in their career, had that pedigree of being able to hit and pitch that well. So I'm with you. John, as per usual.
Never have I seen so much love for a guy that's never won an award in his life. In MLB. And
John,
never have I seen so much love for this.
So Jordan,
that's
getting back to what's important. Let's have Jordan have his few minutes here. So Jordan, catching, how difficult is it that you just got thrown into the FCL? How difficult is it to learn a new pitching staff, call pitches, know what your pitcher's strengths are, what the hitters like to do? How much time are you putting into getting that down?
I don't think learning each pitcher is as difficult as you might think. We catch bullpens every day. You'll eventually learn tendencies, and that just kind of takes place in watching the game, catching the game. You eventually learn, right? But I would say the hardest thing is kind of communicating with the Spanish speakers, because I don't speak a lot of Spanish. So that's really hard to kind of get on the same page, know what he likes to throw. That has been the most difficult part. And with that, I think in the off season, I'm going to start taking Spanish classes. I don't know, it's like Duolingo, or I'll enroll in a school, and I'm going to take classes online just kind of so I can connect to my teammates a little more. Because some of the guys, they're funny as all get out. They're good guys, and I kind of want to keep talking to them. But I don't speak Spanish, so I want to learn that.
Yeah. So Jordan, and I don't know the answer to this, so that's why I have to ask you. First of all, are they using the PitchCom systems in your leagues or the minor leagues at all? Because I know in the majors they've started to adopt that PitchCom system where you don't need the signals. Are they using that? Are you using that at all?
We're not using that.
Okay. Because I'll ask your opinion on it anyway, but what do you think about that? Because for so many years, baseball's always been, you drop the signs and that's the end of the conversation. Do you like it with the fact that sign stealing is more prominent now, or do you think, no, just keep putting down the signs, forget the PitchCom, we don't need it?
I think once the entire thing is perfected, I think it's going to be a good thing.
Okay.
It's just with all the technical difficulties and all that stuff, it's not good for the game of baseball having a guy come out and fix our pitcher's hat, or
Gotcha.
If I get hit on a foul ball off the mask, my thing breaks or something, having to switch in and out. I think once it's perfected and once they figured out a good system, I think it'll be fine,
Yeah, no, I agree.
And by the way, JB, you should have prefaced your question by saying it has nothing to do with Kyler Murray when you asked him how much he studies. Should have prefaced it with that.
John, why is that where your mind goes?
Well, you asked him how much time he studies.
It was just a question, John.
Obviously, whenever I think of that, I think of Kyler Murray.
Jeez.
My mind went there.
John,
I'm sorry.
John,
I can't help it.
killing me, John.
It's like PTSD. That's forever on the mind.
Jordan, as we told you before the show, we can't help John. He's just, here.
John is just John.
Thanks.
He keeps finding the link every week. We don't know how,
We don't invite him at this point. We just kind of hope he doesn't show up, yet here he still is.
So last question I have for you, Jordan. So, before your pro career started, what was your greatest memory of baseball?
Wow. I would probably say winning the state tournament in high school when I was at Malvern Prep, that 2018 season, that year, that team, there are now five or six guys that are in professional baseball right now. And I think that's something special, and that's one hell of a team, I love those guys. I'm glad that we all kind of get to chase our dreams at the same time.
That's awesome.
How do you like your steak done?
John, why do you ask?
Well, that is a great question, because that's the great debate.
There's only one correct answer.
Correct.
What's a little bit of pink? Is that what, medium rare?
So
that would be wrong.
I don't know what it is. It's a little bit of pink is what I like.
If it's I would say that's probably either medium rare or medium, which are both acceptable answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say medium.
John is the weird guy that wants it like a hockey puck, that when you bite it, it is literally just a piece of rubber and it bounces back.
Hockey's
That's
a
how
great
my mom
sport.
likes it.
Hockey's a great sport.
That's no disrespect to your mother. That's just not right. Just no. Don't inflate John's ego because that's what he wants to hear. That other people like it.
It's very rare, but
more Johns in the world is a better thing.
No, it's
not.
Well,
But
Jordan,
anyway.
I want to thank you for taking the time to come on. We definitely look forward to seeing your career in the next few years and see where you end up. And you're always welcome to come back on the show anytime you want. Tell your dad I said hello, and I'll thank him later on tonight as well. But thanks again, and best of luck to you this year.
Yeah, best of luck.
Will do. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It was
Our
great seeing
pleasure,
you.
Jordan.
I'll see you.
Good night.
All right, so what are we going to talk about next, gentlemen? I think there's.
You had a topic.
All right, I'll start it up because I know there's a couple topics we've thrown around. Yeah, I mean, my topic's going to be quick. There's not even much to discuss. It's really just news, and I was happy. For I don't even know how many
Jake
years
was
now.
happy.
What
did it rain?
Shut up. For so many years as a Rangers fan now, and really it feels like forever, I've been waiting for the next captain. I mean, the Rangers had Ryan Callahan. They traded him to the Lightning. Then Ryan McDonough was captain. We traded him to the Lightning. Finally, last night, the announcement was made, and then it was made official this morning. The Rangers have a new captain, Jacob Trouba.
What were you saying, Jake?
Shut up. Just stop talking. I'm gonna kill you after the show. I'm gonna have.
John is having a bad night.
He really is. But yeah, Rangers announced Jacob Trouba as the new captain for the New York Rangers. And look, there's not much to talk about it. John, what? Jacob Trouba is a phenomenal.
Why would your
defenseman and
goalie
leader.
not be your captain?
John, are you serious right now? You
Yeah.
can't.
You
actually
can't?
no.
Why?
Do you know why? Do you not know this?
No.
All right, well, I'm going to educate you and everybody at home because you actually can't make your goalie
That's
captain.
stupid.
No, there's a reason, actually. So the goalie cannot cross the midline. You can't cross over that line on the center ice line.
So?
If your captain has to fight somebody on the other side of the ice or defend your players or help a player get up if he's hurt, by the rules, your captain, if there was a goalie, can't be. There's actually a rule why they can't be. That's why. Because they can't go to the other side of the ice. It's the only
Patrick
reason.
Waugh and
yes,
Dominic
and
Hasek
he's part of the
fight?
He's part of the reason. I think it was either him. I'll have to look it up. It was either him or I think it was Roberto Luongo was the last goalie to be captain, and they actually made it that you can no longer have a goalie be captain. Trust me, John. For many years, I wanted Henrik Lundqvist to be captain
because your best player is your goalie.
Hold on. First of all,
it happens, but
that's not true.
John.
Second of all, your captain. Second of all, your captain is not your best player.
No, the Rangers' best player is their goalie.
But that's not my point.
Well,
yeah, JB, perfect. There you go. See, JB JT, our producer, somebody that helps us in the back end. Thank you for pointing that. Exactly. He can no longer, because of Roberto Luongo, who was named the captain, which I was right, of the Canucks. Rule 14D states that no playing coach or playing manager or goalkeeper shall be permitted to act as captain or alternate captain. I don't know why the rule was in place.
That's so weird.
It's a rule that's in place, though. So, JT, thank you, sir.
Can they be an assistant?
No, you can't.
No, they can't do that.
You can't be anything. No type of captain.
They could be a goalie.
Only on Sideline Sports will you get this kind of knowledge.
So it's funny that you say it, John, because for many years, like I was saying, I wanted Henrik Lundqvist to be the captain of the New York Rangers. He was not only a leader on the ice and off the ice, he was our best player, which granted your captain doesn't have to be your best player. That's not always how it is. But it's nice when they're a leader and your best player, and they could be your captain. It's just
always helpful.
You can't have that anymore. So yeah, I guess you didn't know that, but yeah. So
a goalie's kind of a captain by association anyway.
In some ways, yes. In some ways, I feel like
definitely a leader.
Absolutely.
They just can't get with the C.
They don't get the recognition, but yeah. So it's funny because the reason Trouba actually got captain. I mean, he's not only a leader, but the rumors are that guys like Zibanejad, I believe Kreider even said, I think Trouba's more deserving, which speaks volumes to how great he is as a leader. So, yeah, I mean, look, there's not much to discuss. It wasn't meant for discussion. It was just, hey, the Rangers finally have a captain, and I'm happy because It's been so long since they've had a captain, and I was, you
How
guys
do you go
know
without having a captain?
it happens. But I had to say this last thing, and then we can move on to the, the next topic is, I was texting my dad about it last night. You guys know I'm very close to my father. We're both big sports fans and big Rangers fans at that. And he stole the words right out of my mouth, so I give him the credit. He deserves it. But he said, great, I'm so excited Trouba's captain. So when do we trade him to Tampa? Because but he's not wrong. And I was thinking the same, because the last two captains of the Rangers went to Tampa. So it just feels like, all right, Trouba will be captain for a couple of years, and then we'll probably trade him to Tampa. And more importantly, he'll probably win a cup over there. So, that's...
Don't say that. No,
hey,
don't
look.
say that. Nobody wants Tampa to win another cup. Gross.
Hey, look, that's just how it goes. But anyway, John, I think we'll turn it to you next, because you had an interesting topic.
Do we have any of our guests coming on anytime soon? Or should I start? Or should I start? All right. Well, I'll start. I mean, if we don't have any guests coming on.
I don't know what John is talking about. Like, this is not like me playing up a bit. I legitimately have no clue what he's talking about.
So I was thinking about it today, and
John, hold on. I want to preface this real quick, because this is very important.
I hope Deb is listening to this. I really do.
Because John, what you're about to say was kind of ridiculous. So I just wanted to put this out there.
I hope Deb is listening. I hope all your football fans are listening. I'm of the mindset that the Bears should consider trading Justin Fields right here, right now. I don't think his value gets any higher in his tenure with the Chicago Bears. I don't think it ever gets any higher than it is right now. I think it was higher when he was a rookie, before anybody knew what he was. Now we don't know what he is. He has a year under him. And I think that his value only goes down from here. If you look at the roster around the Chicago Bears, first, let me start. This regime did not draft him. This regime does not want this is not their guy. So we know in the NFL, when a quarterback is there and it's not their guy, what do they often do?
John,
they get rid of him.
Let me know when you're ready so I can rebut you. Let me know when I can rebut you.
Hold on. All right, so today Roquan Smith requested a trade. That's arguably your best defensive player. Gone.
He's not gone yet. He just wants out.
He wants out. He basically said he's never going to be able to play for the organization that he loves, because they haven't been able to really discuss getting a new deal for him. So that's a big loss. They have no receivers really for him. Mooney is a nice slot guy. He's not a 1. He's not a 2. They lost Allen Robinson. Their line is in shambles. The guy they drafted last year for him, Jenkins, they already considered trading him. The line is bad. You refuse to get this guy any weapons. You have a good run game, and you hired a defensive head coach for your head coach. And the first year under Justin Fields, because this isn't about whether Justin Fields can be a really good player, one of the best in the league, or anything like that, because I'm of the mindset is I think he can be a really good player. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback in this league if he's with the right people, the right system to help him grow. We've seen it with young quarterbacks. They really need that a good or a great receiver to help them grow.
Hey, Mike, can you wrap it up real quick? Thank you.
You asked me, so I'm giving.
I didn't ask anything. I just asked you for the topic.
So
anyway, I'm just listening to this, and I'm in shock because what they gave up to get this kid.
No,
you're not going to get that back. You're not going to get that back. So you're going to cut the L. So you're a team that's losing as it is. With the quarterback you think you can develop, we're going to just
you're going to ruin him, and you're going to waste his value, which it's going to go down. The more you use him, the more years he has under his belt, his value goes down.
Right now, what do you think you get back for him?
I think you can get a first.
No shot.
I think you can.
No
yes,
way.
I do.
No way.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think last year it was indicative of what he is.
It doesn't matter.
You're never getting a first-round pick.
But hold on, but John, let me run through negotiations.
He's not a car that once you drive off the lot, you're never getting the full value back.
Actually, yes, it is.
First still.
No.
With his age.
John, let me run this through with you real quick. Okay. The reason you don't get a first back is because of last season. I don't care what his potential is. As a team trading for him, all we see is, and the team trading for him is going to try and get the best deal for themselves. So obviously, they're not going to offer his real value.
It also depends on the team and how desperate they are.
I don't care how desperate you are.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to
anyway,
the teams.
The point is, if I'm the team trading for him, I'm going to try to undermine his ability to play. I'm going to undermine him. Why? So I get the best deal in return. I make him look worse, so it makes the other team say, hey, this sounds like a really good deal to me. If they're giving me, a third-round pick for him, that sounds great because of what they've told me, right? So I'm the team trading for him. I'm not giving more than maybe a second-round pick if they're lucky.
What do you mean maybe? The kid's still super young and has barely played a year.
But, John, here's the problem.
You keep him. Then why would you keep him?
Right. He's not proven, so it's a large risk for another team. Because after what they saw last season, they could say, I don't know if this kid's got it in him to play. I don't know if he's got the ability to be what we expect of him. While his potential's up here, his floor is now all the way down here, as opposed to before last season. Hold on. Let's say before last season, his ceiling was here, his floor was here. Now, because of last season, his ceiling is still here, but his floor is now down here because we've seen how bad he can play. There's a higher risk factor, which means his value has to some extent gone down because he's viewed as a more risky option at quarterback, as opposed to where he was here and here. He's now here and here.
What Cleveland get for Baker, the number 1 pick overall?
Well,
and a guy that brought them
to the
playoffs.
3 or 4? Did he play 3 or 4?
And he brought them to the playoffs, which they weren't for how long. Had decent years, played hurt.
He didn't take them to the playoffs.
A decent call. No, but he got to the playoffs. He's a quarterback that got to the playoffs. People see that. That's all that matters. So a decent quarterback, number 1 overall previously, and got a team to the playoffs. He helped get a team to the playoffs.
Going back to Jake's ceiling, because that's exactly what you look for in a trade. There's a ceiling and a floor. So the end of last year, Baker's floor is probably a little bit below that. And his ceiling, he's the number 1 overall pick. He can still do great things.
And he's proven he can get to the playoffs and he can play at a pretty solid level. He just needs some help.
What did the Browns get for him?
They got, a 5th?
Exactly.
Right. So you think you get a first round for Justin Fields?
No, because of his age. I also think teams didn't think as highly of Baker as the Browns thought of Baker when he was drafted. I don't think that teams thought as highly. I think the Browns obviously overdrafted him at 1.
No.
But
Baker was the clear number 1 quarterback.
No.
Not
the clear number 1 player. He was a clear number 1 quarterback.
That's not what we're talking about.
Player.
Who was the number 1 player in your mind, though?
I have to go back to the draft. That was the year of.
That was Saquon. That was Baker. That was. I don't even know. I mean, I don't remember that draft, so it doesn't really matter. But
Darnold.
The point is, he was Darnold. You're right. So I hate to say it, but he probably was the number 1 pick based on the fact that it doesn't sound like his draft was, filled with guys that were high on draft moves. Now, there may have been guys in the second round, let's say, that I have to go back and look, that turned out to be, quote unquote, diamonds in the rough a little bit, just because we didn't know they'd be as great as they are. But in terms of expected value, he was probably the number 1, if not maybe number 2, truthfully.
Yep. Keep talking. I'm looking up the top picks because pretty sure there was a big lineman in there. Wasn't there like a Quentin Nelson or somebody like that?
But you and I both know a lineman's never the number 1 player, ever.
No, that's not true. But linemen go number 1. It happens.
The best gone number 1, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the best player. Oh man, I mean, you're right. It really wasn't a great draft. Josh Allen went 11. Allen went 11.
Josh Allen, we now know
he was bad the first 2 years.
Is much better, but exactly my point.
Yeah, Josh Allen. When you're looking
at the guys that went in this first round, which are the guys that are considered the highest talent, Josh Rosen. I mean, come on. You're going to put him above Baker? I mean, if I redrafted today, yeah, I would probably pick Josh Allen number 1 just because of the nature of how important quarterback is. But
he was not the number 1 overall.
He was the number 1 overall pick based on that year. So that goes to our point that just because you're a number one pick doesn't mean everything. It factors into it, but it's based on your style, the way you play. And just because, you were the number one pick and you've done some good things like Baker has, he only got a fifth still. That was it. He didn't get much for him. And so I don't know what makes you think Justin Fields, who has done less, proven less, granted has a higher potential probably, but done a lot less and proven a lot less, would garner a number one pick, John.
You have to go by age. I mean, he's only 23 years old right now.
Yeah, but
he's barely played a year. You could definitely use the thing of, well, Matt Nagy was his coach, so really that was a wash year because you don't know what he's
going to do. We're not going to say that, John.
But
not
when you
they're
look,
not going to make excuses for him.
Exactly.
They're going to say, this is
they're
why
going
we're
to find
not
reasons to bring him down.
You're not the GM.
But if you're looking to trade him, you go to a desperate team that would need a quarterback. There's plenty of teams around the league that are going to need a quarterback.
Right now, what team is giving a number one pick for him? You tell me right now.
If I'm Washington and I never gave up anything for Wentz, I would go and trade a first for Justin Fields. I think that'd be perfect with Terry McLaurin. Perfect. You don't think so? Because they would be in a really good position.
I don't think they'd give up a first. I don't think they have to give up a first to get him, which is what I'm getting at. So the whole point of trading
But if
him,
you're Washington, would you do that? If you didn't have Wentz, you didn't have a QB, would you say, I'm giving up a first and I'm going to get a franchise quarterback?
I wouldn't.
TMC.
I wouldn't give up. I would not give up.
TMC.
I would not give up a first. I'm telling you, I wouldn't. Because I know I can get him.
John,
I know I can get him for less.
Are you best friends with Kevin Durant?
Look, if you're the Panthers and you never wasted a pick on Darnold or Baker Mayfield, you could trade for Justin Fields. Like, I'm okay.
We're not disagreeing.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're one of these teams that need a franchise quarterback. The Washington doesn't have one. Carolina doesn't have one. Like, none of these teams
but
really
why would the Bears trade him? Because they're not going to get what they gave up to get him.
We've seen plenty of guys. We've seen value out the butt lately with trades. Like, teams giving up a lot of draft picks for players. Why not? A 23-year-old quarterback that's played 1 year in the league, not even 17 starts. Like, come on, man. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? John, there's plenty of teams that are desperate for a quarterback.
I would trade for Justin Fields.
If you're the Colts.
I would trade for Justin Fields, but here's my point. The value you seem to think he has is way too high. He's not worth that much. And if I'm the Bears, why would we get rid of him? What does it do for us? It puts us in a worse position. We're already a bad team.
You got to get a first back, at least the first.
But you're not going to. So
why would
you're not getting a first?
John?
Yeah, because you got to start over. And this isn't their guy. But by the time this roster's any good, this guy's going to be like 4 or 5 years into his prime before you ever sniff the playoffs.
So what you're saying is
this is one of the worst rosters in football.
John, so you're saying you don't want to keep him past his rookie deal. Say what you mean. It's not worth the investment to keep him after his rookie deal. He's not worth a long-term quarterback like Mahomes. That's what you're saying.
No, I think that he can be, but I think you're going to ruin him. I think you're going to ruin him with what you're doing in Chicago.
So, John,
I don't think he's going to develop properly.
So, John, let me ask you, if I'm the Bears, let me ask you this, okay? You get rid of Justin Fields. We get another quarterback. Why should I feel any different that we're not going to ruin this guy? If we're going to ruin Justin Fields,
they can get Carson Wentz. He's already ruined. If they make the deal with Washington.
We draft another. I'm talking about drafting another quarterback, young quarterback.
You don't draft another quarterback yet. You make sure you have the foundation laid before you do that.
Okay, but that's not how teams play, John.
Yes, it is.
Okay. No,
you build from the inside out.
No, John, they get the quarterback first.
Let's go to East Rutherford, New Jersey. There's a guy known as Danny Dimes, who I can't stand. As a Giant fan, I don't like him. But guess what? The Giants didn't have anything there for him. They're starting to get things there for him, and now guess what? This is his year. He does something or he's gone. not fair to him. The
They've had
Giants
nothing
basically
but
ruined him.
weapons. They've had a bad offensive line for him, but they've had nothing but weapons his whole career.
No, they
Nothing but
haven't.
weapons.
What
John,
do you mean they've
They
drafted
constantly-
and signed receivers? They drafted
Who?
Saquon Barkley.
John, hold on.
Jake
John, let me
Malik?
ask you 2 questions.
Jake Malik play a wideout?
Who name me legitimate receivers? So we got Kenny Galladay. I'll argue that one, but name me one other one.
You have to because of the contract that they went and got.
That's fine. I'm giving you that one. Name another one, please.
They had Evan Ingram, who we thought when
Hold
they
on.
got Jones.
But John, time
was
out.
supposed to be one of the best tight ends in football.
You're talking about they surrounded him with good talent. That's what you're arguing.
Yes.
Okay. Evan Ingram, we thought was good talent, but he was terrible. So that's null and
when they
void.
drafted Daniel
It doesn't
Jones,
matter.
Hang on, I'm muting both of you because I have a thought at this current moment. Right now, the world has totally stopped. We are defending Daniel Jones, Jake. I want everyone to think about this for a second.
And you know what? Because this is the same argument I have been making forever. Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback. I think he makes bad decisions. I'm disappointed with the things he does. But he's had a bad offensive line, and his receivers have been hot garbage. So my point is this, John, to say you surrounded him with good talent is baloney. Okay?
I know. I'm scared. I'm very, very scared.
They went and drafted Tony in the first round. They used a first.
That was such a reach. What do you mean?
It doesn't matter. They used a first-round pick on a receiver for
But he's
him.
not great. He's
Hold
not
on.
worth the first round. So that's a mistake.
How many times have the Green Bay Packers used a first-round pick for a receiver during Aaron Rodgers' tenure? Zero.
And you know how many? Hold on. Do you know how many superstars they have on his team? You know how many rings they have with Aaron Rodgers? More than Daniel Jones.
But I'm saying they
you know how much
never
better
invested
Hold on.
a first-round
You know how much better
pick.
Aaron Rodgers is than Daniel Jones? A lot. Okay, so you can make that argument, John, but I prefer the way that they've done things with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay because they've gotten him talent. They've had I don't love every player he's had, but he's had Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb.
Devontae Adams was
Jordy
not,
Nelson.
It wasn't like he was a first-round pick.
I
They
don't care.
developed him.
But that's my point, John. They developed good talent around him, and that is why he was good. Daniel Jones hasn't had good talent around him yet. Evan Ingram had hands that were made of bricks. It was like Eli Manning's feet were chopped off and put on his hands. They were literal bricks he couldn't catch for his life. Okay? Kenny Galladay has been abysmal and disappointing as can be.
So what are you trying to say about Jones? Is that he still has potential to be a quarterback and this isn't his fault?
No. I think he's bad as well.
We think he's bad. But
I don't know where you're going with this.
John, you're making the argument Daniel Jones had talent put around him. I'm just disproving your argument.
They literally drafted him Saquon Barkley. Like, what are you
Saquon
doing?
Barkley hasn't played, John.
Well, the injuries aren't anybody's fault but Barkley's. It's not like...
So, John...
But they put talent around him.
No, they haven't.
Barkley is talent.
They put one player. One. Saquon Barkley.
They signed Kenny Galladay. They drafted Kadarius Toney.
Okay, so, John, we'll say 2 players. We'll say 2 players, John. 2 players were put around.
Sterling Shepard is a pretty good slot receiver. Like that's a nice guy.
But
he's
John,
a nice slot receiver.
He's okay, but I wouldn't call him great talent. I'd call him okay.
Pretty good talent.
John,
like I don't.
John? You're arguing with me about a team I watch week in and week out. I know how bad they are. I know how bad the talent.
No,
on
I know,
is.
but just to say that they don't have like talent around him in his tenure is just stupid.
That's okay, John. These players have proven nothing to me. I don't think on any other roster they would be starting, or at least most of them. Evan Ingram shouldn't be starting on a single roster.
But when they drafted Jones, like we all thought he was a top 10 tight
I don't
end.
care about when they drafted him. I care about the evaluation of the talent. Okay? That's like saying to me, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had any talent put around him. That's a lie. You know why? When the player was drafted, you could say Devontae Adams wasn't talent around Aaron Rodgers. But you can't argue with me that Aaron Rodgers didn't get talent around him. You know why? Because they put Devontae Adams on his team, who turned out to be one of the greatest wide receivers Aaron Rodgers could have ever played with, had he been given a
Part
choice.
of that is Aaron Rodgers helps make those receivers better.
But my point is, John, you can't argue that Aaron Rodgers didn't have talent put around him because he didn't get a first-round pick. You can say he didn't get first-round picks on his team that were receivers. That's a statement. That's a fact. But to say just because you're drafted in the first round means
you're good.
Talent doesn't mean anything.
You weren't
Jamarcus
just talking about how
Russell.
Baker Mayfield was a number 1 overall pick?
And I think he's a decent quarterback. I think he's a solid quarterback.
Who led the Browns to the playoffs.
Did not
Once
lead
again.
them. They have a defense and a run game, and Kevin Stefanski.
It doesn't matter.
He was just
The
along
quarterback
for
is
the
John, it
ride.
doesn't matter.
The quarterback gets credit.
Okay.
Why do you
Thanks for
think
playing.
You're making no
God.
argument that makes any sense to me. I'm waiting to hear it.
I'm just confused how you're defending Danny.
I'm
John,
not. No, John, you're not listening.
Jake,
I'm not.
listen.
Hold on. I'm not defending
Listen.
Daniel Jones. I'm defending the fact that the Giants haven't drafted or put any talent around him. That's all I'm arguing. I think
Well, I
he
have a
sucks.
question.
I think he has no ball skills. He has awful decision making. He is just insanely inaccurate. I could go on about why he sucks, but you can't argue they put talent around him. It's just a simple fact that they haven't.
So when John, KD, and Kyrie sit at the bar for drinks, can you imagine the conversation? Because this is absurd, John. John, even you are better than this.
Yeah, I would imagine you both are, but this has been awful that you guys are saying Baker Mayfield deserved to be number 1 overall pick. Danny Jones has never had any talent around
in his
him.
draft class,
John.
Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback on draft day. On draft day, on paper, and on the field, Baker Mayfield was the number 1. Today,
Better than Josh Allen?
On paper and on the field, on draft day, yes.
Exactly. On draft day, Baker Mayfield was better than Josh Allen. Today, I agree with JB.
Josh Allen is way better than Baker Mayfield, hands down. On draft day, there's no question. I wanted the Giants to get Baker Mayfield. Looking at it now, I wish we would have taken Josh Allen with the number 2 pick rather than Saquon. Not that I dislike Saquon, but he's been injured, and I wanted a quarterback to replace Eli when Eli retired.
If Josh Allen was not from Wyoming and he was from Oklahoma, Josh Allen would have been the number 1 overall pick.
No, he wouldn't have.
He was never going to be the number 1.
You're not going to trust him because he's from Wyoming. You're not going to trust a guy that hasn't played big-time competition. Because Wyoming, you're not going to play big-time competition.
John,
do us a favor this week. What I want you to do, I want you to reach out to draft experts from some other networks that we won't mention, and I want you to get one of them on the show next week. That's your responsibility if you choose to accept it. So we can break down that draft and see who's right. And I'm talking about big names because they all want to come talk to us. They all love us. We know them. We see them in the locker room. We play squash together. But get them on the show. We're going to break down that draft, and we're going to see who's right.
All right. Sounds good to me. Tune in next week whenever I bring in a draft expert from 2018.
No, John, all right, let me put this to you real quick, John. In college, I'm just going to go stat by stat, so give me a minute here. Okay? Completion percentage for Josh Allen. In 2015, where he played just 2 games, he had a 66.7 completion percentage, which is good, but it's only over 2 games, so it's a very minor sample size. Over the next 2 seasons, he barely broke over 16 and 17. This is Josh Allen. Barely broke 56 completion percentage. That's not good numbers. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, starting in 20, he was I think it was a redshirt freshman at Texas Tech in 2013. He had 64 in 15 to 17. He did not go below 68% completion percentage. He also had a minimum of those 3 seasons, 15 through 17, 3,700 yards. And his stats got better by the year, I hope you know.
Of course.
And also, John, Josh Allen in 16 had just hit 3,200. And then in 11 games, so he had 14 games in 16, 11 games in 17, he only had 1,800 yards, John. He only had 16 touchdowns in 17 and 28 touchdowns, which is good, in 16, as opposed to Baker Mayfield, who had 36 and 15.
I can't believe you're actually breaking this down for him. We all watched the draft.
36
I almost drove my
touchdowns.
car off the
36
highway.
touchdowns in 2015.
Wait up.
40 touchdowns
I
in
laughed
2016.
when Baker went number
43
one
touchdowns in 2017, John. So I
Listen.
understand that in hindsight, Josh Allen's the better quarterback. No question about it. There's going to be no argument from me.
Listen,
But based on college stats at the time, Josh Allen was far worse based on those numbers. You cannot possibly argue.
College stats don't mean much.
But that's how you have to evaluate college level talent, John.
No.
You know.
It's John. John, once again, your points are done. Get a draft expert. We'll break it down. Also, that was when I almost drove my car off the road because the Patriots made the horrible trade with the Ravens. And we almost got a quarterback in the second round. And I said the Giants would have drafted him in the second round anyway. And Lamar Jackson went at the end of the first round to the Ravens, which was disgusting. You know, and the Giants wouldn't have taken him anyway in the second round. I already know that, but there was hope. There was hope. But, yeah, John, you're absurd with this.
I have to ask you this,
point.
Jake. Jake, I want to ask you this because you mentioned about stats are the deciding factor, correct?
They're one of the deciding factors, yes.
Okay. Where did Colt Brennan go? One of the most prolific quarterbacks in college football history.
No clue. But I guarantee you, if I look at the stats, they're probably good.
There you go. One of the most prolific quarterbacks in college history never did anything in the pros.
Okay.
Wasn't a first-round pick.
John, I think you're
Wasn't
missing the
anywhere
point
close.
here. I think you missed the point. The point is part of the argument is stats, and that's all I'm arguing. That statistically speaking, Baker Mayfield was 1,000 times better than Josh Allen. And you mentioned the fact that Baker Mayfield had big wins at a big school. That helps.
That helps, right, of course.
If Josh Allen had Baker Mayfield numbers at Wyoming, I'd be singing a different tune. Because I'd say, hey, Josh Allen didn't get the opportunities to have those big wins, but his numbers backed up him being a top-level quarterback, to get that number one pick. I'd argue that because he might have deserved it. But he didn't. His numbers didn't – his play didn't back up him deserving number one status. He wasn't in the Heisman conversation. Obviously, Baker Mayfield was, and there's a reason that, Baker ends up getting it because he was really great. So I'm not saying –
Was he? Or was that just a product of Oklahoma?
John, you can't deny the numbers were great. He played very well.
Like when he went number one overall, that's like when Johnny Manziel was getting projected a first-round pick. And I just didn't buy it.
Johnny Manziel was a great quarterback who had lots of off-field problems. 100%.
He was a great college football quarterback. He was a terrible NFL quarterback.
John,
he was always going to be a terrible NFL.
You don't know anything. What are you talking about?
Are you saying that Baker Mayfield's no good? Is that basically what you're saying?
Yes. Thank you. Wow. That's exactly what I'm saying.
John,
and what is the basis for you saying that?
You could have simplified that a lot quicker and just said that, and your opinion's completely off base.
Yeah, you're making the wrong argument because you're saying
hop in your car, drive down to North Carolina, have a long talk with the man, watch him throw the ball. You'd be surprised. He's going to beat out the guy he was drafted ahead of.
That's not hard.
But John, if you want to say, hey, he's not a good NFL quarterback, I won't argue with you much about that. I'll leave it be. But to say he wasn't deserving of the number one pick, excluding what we know now, you have to use the knowledge you had then. You cannot use hindsight.
I didn't believe he was number one pick worthy.
Then who was number one, John? Who was number one?
And you can't say Josh Allen because
if you think Josh Allen, you're insane. Nobody thought Josh Allen.
Look at the draft.
Exactly. If you have nothing. You have no basis for your argument.
You got the two guys on Carolina, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson's not on Carolina. You mean Sam Darnold?
No, the two guys in Carolina and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Those are the guys that were drafted in the first round that year. The other quarterbacks.
And was I think Josh Rosen was he that year?
Yes.
We don't even count him. He truly hasn't been given a fair shot anywhere anyway.
That's true. But my point is, John, I don't think, based on what we saw in college, there was a better quarterback, except, in my personal opinion, I think Lamar Jackson I don't think he was number one overall. I think he should have been higher than some quarterbacks, and I always believe that. And that's backed up on my hindsight. But that's backed up by hindsight. But if I go back and look at Lamar's numbers, they were really great probably.
Oh,
which
yeah,
would back
of
up
course.
him being higher up than he should have been. But
he's not your prototypical quarterback.
And that's fine. But
so he was going to fall, right? I get what you're saying.
Exactly. But at least I could, if you said, hey, Lamar should have been number one, his college stats prove it, I wouldn't argue with you. The hindsight proves it.
No, I don't believe he
should
have been number one.
But I'm just saying, if you made that argument to me now and I looked at his college stats, I'd probably say, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
So, so out of those quarterbacks, who should be number one?
Out of those, Josh Allen.
Absolutely. Based on what?
He's the
based on hindsight
guy. He's the 6'5" guy with a big arm. He has the most potential out of those guys. I would have taken Josh Allen.
All right. Gentlemen, we got to wrap this up. JB, real quick, where can they find you? We'll have to continue this argument another time.
JB_the program on Twitter. JB Ellis all over the place. Confidential tonight at 11 o'clock. I got Jordan Long filling in for me. I have such a headache after this show. I can't even talk about the Cubs.
John, real quick, go.
Bluehawks13 on Twitter. Make sure you follow Sideline Sports. Make sure you check out our YouTube. Don't forget to make sure you check out our subs. Go, Jake. Like, if you got this going on, go.
I know, because we got to wrap it up at 56. We're over
right,
now, John. Guys can find me at Jake_Malik. As you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen, Instagram and Twitter is Sideline Sports 1. YouTube and Facebook is Sideline Sports. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Google's Podcast, all that everywhere, Spotify. Just look us up. You'll find us, DBTV, all that good stuff. As always, everybody have a good one, and we will see you next time.